I want to welcome everybody to the Martin Luther King Breakfast. This is our annual get-together. It's a party. It's a celebration. Somebody at my table just said something to me. There's a post flying around that it's wrong to celebrate a convicted felon. I don't know how the thinking of that goes. I guess I do. But this convicted felon was convicted as a felon to change the course of history in this country, to open doors of opportunity for everybody. We're not there yet, but we're on the way. We're looking at, being inclusive of not just races, but genders. We've got military personnel who are not being taken care of in this country. So we have to have third and fourth parties to take care of them. Why, as a country, if we're willing to send boots on the ground to supposedly defend our country, why are they not taken care of when they come back? That is our responsibility as a country. And these are the things that Dr. King, if he was here today, would be mouthing off about and pushing us, that we have a responsibility to take care of not just a few people, but as a great nation, a great America, we would be taking care of everyone within the borders of this country, because that's what he stood for. And that's why he's no longer with us, because there are people in this world who don't want us to take care of everybody. So he died in a hotel balcony, standing up for everyone. And that's why we're here this morning. So welcome. This is a great day, a great opportunity. You guys can come on up while I talk. We got some great entertainment for you. You'll notice on your tables there's quotes. We thought when we put this thing together that maybe these quotes could be discussion options for you. They're all from something that Dr. King said. But here's the deal on that. We didn't realize we had such a full calendar of events in this morning. So if you want to look at them and maybe have a chance to talk, that would be great. There's some stuff we got to do before we kick off here. So hey, elected officials, if you're here, we're thankful, number one. But could you stand and be recognized? Could you do that? I'm going to miss somebody here, so please don't be offended. Educators in the room and students, if you're here, please stand. Awesome. Awesome. Pastors and churches, if you're in the room, stand up. Let's see, who else can I go to here? City employees, if you're a city employee and you're here this morning, could you stand up? If you're just a regular person, stand up. In fact, why don't we all stand up? We're going to sing the national anthem, so why don't we all stand? The words are on page 6 of your brochure.
Lift every all may be seated. Thank you. Unless you want to stand up with us when we sing, we will appreciate that as well. My life is in your hands.
That was Adriana Johnson and Pastor Victor Evans and the Promised Land Ministries Choir. Give them another hand. That was awesome. So we have a new director of the Multicultural Family Center. I believe she's here. Lamitra, are you here? Where are you? Stand up. So this is our new director. She's got great things planned for this year, so, just to let you know, always have your eye open for what's going on at the MFC. So I'm here to do now the invocation, and I figured, I thought I would go to an invocation that Dr. King gave. This was actually at a New York Billy Graham event back in, I think it's 67. And I just thought it was interesting because some of Billy Graham's events were segregated, but here's one that Dr. King was able to do the invocation on, so I thought I would read that for our invocation today, and it seems to be appropriate for this day and time in our own history. So let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, out of whose mind this great cosmic universe has been created, toward whom the weary and perplexed of all generations turn for consolation and direction, we come before thy presence this morning, thanking thee for the many blessings of life. We come recognizing our dependence on thee. We also come, O God, with an awareness, the fact that we have not always given our lives to that which is high and noble. In the midst of all the high and noble aspects of justice, we followed injustice. We stand amid the forces of truth, and yet we deliberately lie. We stand amid the compelling urgency of the Lord of love, as exemplified in the life of Jesus Christ, and yet we live our lives so often in the dungeons of hate. For all of these sins, O God, forgive. And in these days of emotional tension, when the problems of the world are gigantic in extent and chaotic in detail, give us penetrating vision, broad understanding, power of endurance, and abiding faith, and save us from the paralysis of crippling fear. And, O God, we ask thee to help us to work with renewed vigor for a warless world and for a brotherhood that transcends race and color. We thank thee this morning for the marvelous things which have been done here in Dubuque and through the dynamic preaching of the pastors all over this town. We thank thee, O God, to continue blessing this place, Dubuque, and our mayor, our city council, and everybody else. We pray in the name of the God of the universe and say amen. All right, I ad-libbed a little bit in there. We have a dance performance right now, so if they could come up, the Dubuque Dance Divas, directed by Patricia Seals.
Those of you that think that gospel music has gone too far, you think we've gotten too radical with our message. Well, I got news for you. You ain't heard nothing yet. And if you don't know, now you know. Glory, glory! Woo! You better put them hands together and act like you know up in here. GP! Put your hands together. Come on. I feel like having some church up there.
my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, when I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I gotta made up mind. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail, but Lord knows I'll try. Just as fill up the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Do you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gotta keep on keeping on.
Hey, stand up and give them something, hey? Woo! And I can't explain it, I can't obtain it, but woo, I got to dance now, right? We got to stop. I've been informed, people are always giving me announcements, so I got to, okay, there's surveys on your tables, and we would really appreciate if you fill those out. You know, here we're in a new venue this year. What do you think of this place, by the way? Yeah. You know, next year, if we're here, I think we're planning on it, but you'll be able to come in through the hotel entrance instead of through that kind of maze coming through the casino and stuff. But it's been nice. What do you think of the food? Is it okay this year? All right. At this time, we have some children, young children, who are going to go and do something alternate I'm not sure where they are. I think you guys are going to lead them out. So you can come up if you know who you are. Meet your leaders over there at that door. How's that?
Kim, maybe just say if there are other children besides these two between the ages of 4 and 10 that would like to join them?
So the principal in my life just told me that if there are any other children between 4 and 10 who would like to join, they are free to do that. So they're going to go do something fun instead of listening to John. Sorry, John. So I get to introduce John Stewart, Dr. John Stewart. And if you don't know John, you should go out of your way to get to know him. He has been a significant person in our community. I've gotten to know him through a number of different venues. He's on the board of the Multicultural Family Center. He was a significant leader over at University of Dubuque. He's written, I didn't know this, John, written or edited 25 books. That's amazing. I don't even know I don't know how you do that in one lifetime, including 11 editions of Bridges, Not Walls, a book about interpersonal communication. And then we actually have some of his books available at that table over there today if you're interested in it. John's a great guy. He's humble. I know his pastor or the exiting pastor there at St. John's Episcopal says, you know, he's a PhD and he's all this stuff and he's over there mopping floors at St. John's doing just, you know, fixing furniture, and he's humble. That's a great thing. Have humility. I'm working on it. But so I just want to introduce John. Come on up, buddy. And I think we're going to have a great treat. He's going to talk about calling, not in a religious sense necessarily, but calling.
Thank you.
You and I, we are all called for something, and he's going to open that up for us. So, John Stewart.
Good morning. Oh, that's pretty good. How about one more? Good morning. Oh, that was really quite good. I can't figure out how it happens that every third Monday in January there's either an ice storm or a snowstorm or a cold snap, but it seems to happen frequently at the time of this event. So I want to express my appreciation to you for braving the elements to come out here. Tell you that Faces and Voices has made a special effort this time, particularly in reference also to our new venue, so that everyone here will receive a ticket for their attendance, and there'll be a drawing, and 3 of you will get the top prize, which is a 2-day ice fishing trip on the Mississippi River. Antonio Muzan is going to be your host, and Dick's Sporting Goods will provide all the equipment. Kevin Sharp from Brazen has agreed to cater the event, and media coverage will be by KCRG and Woodward Communication. I told Bob that I'd be mentioning him today, and also by a couple of TikTok influencers. None of that is true. I'm really honored to be here today, to be asked by Faces and Voices to guide us in some reflections this morning. This old white guy has been attending these events for some time, and I appreciate the opportunity in the community for us to gather around the issues that bring us here together. Let's see, here we go. We got ourselves out of bed early this morning to honor Martin Luther King Jr., and I'm going to do exactly that in the first part of our time together. And then in the second part, I want to talk about a way that I think each of us can take some practical steps to move toward the dream that King articulated by helping dismantle part of the racism that's present in our lives. number of years ago, King said this, and I think there's a cultural analysis in this quotation that's on the screens that usefully identifies fear at the center of a great deal of our difficulties around race. Fear anchored in lack of information, the common term for which is ignorance, that itself is anchored in failure to communicate properly. A week before Christmas, 9 of us from the International Listening Association were on a Zoom call. 5 of us were people of color, and we make up the Diversity Initiatives Task Force of this particular organization. We were talking about a structured dialogue activity that the ILA brings to the communities that it works with, called, whoops, there goes the little box from the mic, so I'll put it up here, called Listening Circles. One of the members was talking about her application of listening circles to a group that was talking about the election in Washington, D.C., and she was so encouraged by the success of that conversation that she decided to take it to her family, and so she contacted 10 members of her family to invite them to a conversation about the election. 2 of them said their feelings were too intense and they didn't want to attend, but she had 6 members of her family who did attend, and she was talking about the success of this particular conversation. After she finished her description of her experience, there was some silence, and then one of the persons of color who was in the Zoom meeting said, the day after the election, I never felt so hated. And a couple other members of the group who were persons of color agreed with her. It appears that the phenomena that King identified a number of years ago still exist today in the culture. And it's clear that there's work left to do. On April 4th, 1968, I was a graduate student at the University of Southern California, and I remember coming out of this building from an afternoon class and being told that Martin Luther King had been murdered. Activity kind of stopped in the community there that day in a way that was similar to the way activity stopped when President Kennedy was assassinated 4 years before that. It was clear from that event and that response that people thought that this was a pretty special person. Now, it was clear that he had some flaws. J. Edgar Hoover's wiretaps had pulled together evidence of sexual indiscretions and connections with people who had attended, if you can imagine, Communist Party meetings, which was a topic that Hoover was very interested in. King was criticized for plagiarizing some quotations in his dissertation, and King himself noted that sometimes he had prioritized the opportunities of speaking engagements and travel over attention to his family. So this was a human being, not a perfect person, and as I think about some of these faults that he had, it makes him, to me, more accessible, because these are the kinds of things that concern me in my own life and that I can be guilty of. So I looked at his life to ask, what else is there here? What can we find in the patterns of King's life that might be a guide to us? And I was convinced that if you read some of his biography and study his life, you can see that this person was a called person. And what I have up there on the screen is the beginning of what I mean by being a called person. The image of the tandem bicycle in which we're on the back seat. This is a point of view, a way of looking at the world that acknowledges the transcendent. It is not necessarily a religious perspective, and it is a spiritual one because of this acknowledgement. And along with the acknowledgement of the transcendent comes a quality of humility. And along with this humility, if you talk about the communication element of humility, it's importance of listening, and the importance of taking action in the world in response to the call. King, of course, was called by his Christian God because this is who he was. He went to graduate school, the seminary. This was his profession. This is how he earned a living. And there are other ways to be called. Some people by the central teachings of Buddhism, for example. Other people by the importance of responding to climate change. Living as a called person is both dangerous and difficult, and it's dangerous for the reasons that are there. You called attention to yourself, of course, which was true in King's case. And you also can become a true believer and forget equity. And so it's difficult because in order to avoid the excesses of being a called person, it seems to me you need to take 3 steps, all of which King did. The first one is to anchor your principles and practices in a text that's got some real history. And for him, of course, that was the Christian Bible. And the second is to pay attention to the scholarship and research that's related to your calling, and you might think about that as nonviolence and the social impact and the possibilities of the kind of political action that he favored. And then you also have to pay attention to what one philosopher called what it comes to in its being worked out. What it comes to in its being worked out. A good way to talk about practicalities. And so this is a quality that I think we can learn from this very human person. And I've just identified a couple people from our community who it seems to me also have exhibited this quality. I didn't know Ruby Sutton very well, but from all I read and hear about her, she had this quality. You knew her, and yeah? Okay. And when William and Trilligator's award as the first citizen, TH First Citizen, was announced, he mentioned being here as a calling for him. I'd suggest that in this day when we are challenged as much as we are by polarization and artificial intelligence, and the other challenges that we face, this quality is needed in DC, and it's needed in Des Moines, and it's needed in Dubuque. It's needed at the University of Dubuque. It's needed at Loras. It's needed at Clark University and Emmaus Bible College. It's needed at John Deere and McGraw-Hill. It's needed at St. Columbkills, St. Anthony's, and St. John's. It's needed at Lighthouse Church and Faith Temple. It's needed at Rotary, the MFC, and the Country Club, and the Art Museum, and the Symphony, and in our homes. King first experienced this calling at his first job in Montgomery, Alabama, right after he'd finished his doctoral coursework. He accepted a job at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, and the Montgomery Improvement Association was the organization in town that was heading up the civil rights struggle at that time. This was in 1956. And King's impressive work at Dexter Avenue led him to being pressed into service as president of the Montgomery Improvement Association. he was experiencing significant pressures in his life, birth of his first child, intense stress from leading demonstrations, rumors that whites had spread about King's stealing money from the MIA, arrest and jail time, frequent death threats. He was a young professional in over his head. And according to one of his biographers, King's crisis of confidence peaked. David Garrow, whose biography won the Pulitzer Prize, said that January 27th, 1956, was the most important night of his life. The one he always would think back to in future years when the pressures again seemed too great. These are King's words. I had grown up in the church, and the church meant something very real to me, but it was a kind of inherited religion, and I'd never felt an experience with God. It was around midnight. You can have some strange experiences at midnight. A caller had just told me, if you aren't out of this town in 3 days, we're going to blow your brains out and blow up your house. I sat there and thought about a beautiful little daughter who'd just been born. She was the darling of my life. I started thinking about my dedicated, devoted, and loyal wife, and she could be taken from me or I could be taken from her. I discovered that religion had to become real to me. I prayed a prayer. Lord, I'm down here trying to do what's right, and I'm weak. I'm faltering. I'm losing my courage. And it seemed at that moment that I could hear an inner voice saying, Martin Luther, stand up for righteousness. Stand up for justice. Stand up for truth. And lo, I will be with you even until the end of this world. King says, I heard the voice of Jesus. He promised never to leave me alone. No, never alone. No, never alone. And Garrow says King's uncertainty disappeared, and he went back to bed. And then in 1964, when he received the Nobel Peace Prize, Coretta reports, it was a great tribute, but an even more awesome burden. It meant that there might be no escape from the responsibilities and burdens that had been so constant ever since that night in the kitchen more than 8 years earlier in Montgomery. So this is a part of the man we honor today. And I wonder what we can learn from reflecting on King's complex and very human life, and how we might mobilize our awareness of this into an inspiration for our own life. And I want to reflect on this question by first making a distinction that I think is familiar to virtually everybody here between systemic and interpersonal racism. These are all examples of racism that affects systems. Everyone in here who, like me, calls ourselves white has observed these kinds of inequities, and everyone in here who's a person of color has directly experienced systemic racism. And one of the difficulties is that if we want to make a difference and change it, it's very difficult to do so. Systemic racism is anchored in decades, even centuries of history, to the point where it's become accepted as what's normal. It's normalized in legislation, common practices, and expectations. And the people in power who enforce systemic racism are frequently very distant from us, difficult for us to contact. And so if we have a desire to make a difference it can sometimes feel very daunting and lead to feelings of empowerment, disempowerment. Connected kind of racism is interpersonal racism that occurs between two people. And an important fact to recognize, I think, is that interpersonal racism is carried out in conversation. Conversation is something all of us have been doing ever since we were toddlers. While we may not feel that we're total experts in conversation, certainly we have resources and we can respond. And I'd like to suggest that there are responses we can make to dismantle the racism we experience in interpersonal situations. And I think the best way to start with this, if this is our motivation, is with concrete examples. And that's what I do in this book, Dismantling Racism One-on-One. I look at 4 actual conversations to see what we can observe and what we might learn from these conversations. All of them were between a black and a white person. All of them involved intense feeling, and 3 of them were transformative. 1 was not. And so I think we can look at these and they can be instrumental or informative. This is the first one from this book, which how many of you read this book when the Community Foundation distributed 500 copies in this community? And then the authors, Jennifer and Ronald, appeared at Five Flags and answered questions for a couple of hours. This was the conversation about Jennifer, who'd been brutally raped by a black person in North Carolina, in Burlington, who picked Ronald mistakenly out of an alignment. Ronald had spent 11 years in jail, and then DNA evidence and a confession exonerated him. He appeared on Larry King Live and expressed a desire to speak to Jennifer, this woman who'd been thinking of him as a violent black rapist, and he'd been thinking of her as a lying white for over 11 years. They met together in a Sunday school room of Ronald's Baptist Church in Burlington. And the conversation they had was genuinely transformative. They collaborated together on getting the law changed in North Carolina, the law that appeals or applies to people who are wrongly imprisoned. They co-authored this book that was published in 2009, and then they traveled the country, including coming to Dubuque, talking about their experience and their relationship. They attended each other's kids' soccer games and so on. The conversation was transformative. And I think we can learn by looking closely at that conversation, what they did in that. The second conversation that I look at is from Isabel Wilkerson's book that I know a number of you are also familiar with. She talks about caste as the infrastructure of racism in this country. And then in chapter 31, she just tells a story of a plumber coming to fix a flooded basement a few months after her husband and her mother had both died. And she begins her description, actually she begins this chapter, the man who came to the door smelled of beer and tobacco. And so you can kind of fill out what happens next. He looked at his clipboard because he didn't believe black people should be living in this neighborhood. He came downstairs and rejected any thoughts she had about what might be wrong at creating the flood. And then as she writes, the plumber surveyed the boxes and stepped around a few of them, knocking a lampshade and wreath to the wet floor without stopping to pick them up. Isabel just kept sweeping. Her frustration grew. She'd called him in to fix whatever was causing the water to build up, and all he was doing was standing there watching her sweep, as women who look like her have done for centuries. and not fixing anything. Since he wasn't helping, she felt she had nothing to lose. So she decided to throw a Hail Mary at his humanity. Beautiful phrase. Throw a Hail Mary at his humanity. My mother just died last week, she said to him. Is your mother still alive? He looked down at the wet floor. No, she isn't. She died in 1991. She was 52 years old. That's not old at all, Isabel said. No, she wasn't. My father's still alive. He's 78. He's in a home south of here. My sister lives nearby to him. You're lucky to still have your father, Isabel said. Well, he's as mean as they come. And the conversation continued. The plumber went out to his truck to get a flashlight so he could search the basement better, and then jubilantly he announced, I found it. It was the broken hot water heater. He wrote her an estimate for a new hot water heater, charged her $69 for the house call, left. And then when Isabel was on the phone immediately afterwards, the plumber came back because he'd begun to leave and then realized that he wasn't sure he'd turned off the gas, and he wanted to be sure she was okay. And as the plumber left, Isabel referred to him as momentarily family. Now these examples of transformation, the third one is from Robin DiAngelo's book, between her and another consultant named Angela. These examples, importantly, did not eliminate systemic racism. We can't just hold our hands now and sing Kumbaya together. And each conversation was transformative in that relationship. The conversations made a difference. They dismantled the racism that was present there. And so what I tried to do in this same book is offer two contributions that I pulled out of looking at these conversations. One is a mental model, and the other is 6 conversational skills. So the first one is how to think about this, and that's kind of a complex visual. It's an attempt to appeal to visual learners and to highlight the importance of storifying, which is a fancy word for paying attention to stories, asking for stories, offering stories, referring back to stories, applying stories. Think about storifying. Then think also about inviting and offering, and what can be invited and offered. The very first move that is here, the inviting move, is an important one to highlight because this is a suggestion that has emerged from the work of people who focused on improving this kind of conversation. Whenever we are in a difficult conversation, we'll get an opinion or an attitude or a strong expression coming at us, and the default option is either to defend or to attack. I mean, either come back this way to what we have coming at us. That's what we do naturally. And so the first suggestion, the crucial one, is to stop. Don't do that. To stop. Count to 4 or 5 if it takes that. And then to replace this kind of response with this one. And the question that has worked in a lot of cases is this: what are examples in your own life of what you've experienced? Can you feel the difference between you as a conversation partner responding to an attack with that question? Now, if you want to, if the testosterone is there and you've got to be a winner, you don't want to say this at all. If you want the hostility to build, you don't want to say this at all. But if you want to help dismantle what's going on, that's problematic. This is an extremely useful question to ask. In addition to inviting, offer a story, and an example is given there. The second part of the mental model is about curiosity and humility. Two critical attitudes to have if you really want to make a difference in lowering the temperature and increasing the probability of positive change. And examples are given there too. And then there are, this note is to remind me, notice the examples that are on the screen, how simple they are. They're not complicated. This is not rocket science. It's just counterintuitive. It's not our default option. But we've been in conversations, and we know how that we can make these changes, and even how to do them. So then there are 6 conversational skills. And the first one talks about reflections. All a reflection is an expression, a statement, that emerges when you think about, well, for example, I might think, I wonder if I'm talking too fast. That's a reflection. I'm thinking about my thinking. When I express a reflection, you discover something about me beyond the stereotype you may have of me. Reflections are useful for what they do conversationally in a relationship. So this is a suggestion to invite and offer a reflection as 2 conversational skills, one set of 2. The second is to invite and offer choices. This is another example of a statement that can help alter the relationship that is being built in this conversation. And then the third pair of skills are about inviting and offering emotions. If we're interested in dismantling instances of interpersonal racism and other interpersonal destructive conflicts in our lives, this mental model, I think, and these skills can be helpful. And I also think that this is one way to live as a called person. Thank you much for being here.
So I'd like us all to stand, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. No. So here's my story. I'm going to storify. So my mom died in 2023. She was 100 years old. When I told her I was going to marry Claudette, my wife, who's black, if you don't know me, I'm Tim. She told me, well, Tim, you're going to have to learn to like fried chicken. I don't eat fried chicken. I refuse to, it shut me down. I refused to so if you put chicken on a plate, if I'd come over to your house, it would be really hard for me to eat it because I refuse to give in to that stereotype. And let me just say, my mom, fantastic woman, I love her. She and my wife got along really well. But that was just one individual that kind of was allowed into her little set of people, right? Oh, Claudette's nice. She's different. She's fantastic. She's... I like what John says about humility because I think when it comes to race, there's going to be a lot of humility because humility is part of education, right? When you're getting educated, you're learning something. The humility side is you're learning what you don't know. And to be human is to recognize what you don't know so that you can overcome what you don't know and move forward in your life. When we're dealing with race, for us who look like me, this complexion, there's got to be humility because there's a lot that we just don't understand. We don't experience it. We don't have to go. It's just who we are. So anyway, okay, let's go on here. I got a few things I have to do. On your table, there is a little card. This is about the 20 years of Walk Through Black History. And this year it's going to be about Mary McLeod Bethune. It's a little church called First Baptist that I don't even know where it is. But they've been doing this for 20 years. Peggy Jackson back there is the brain trust for that. She's been doing that for years. And it's free, right? It's free. So, there's something to do on the last Sunday in February to go see that. Now, I have I've been told to give some thanks here. So some groups have purchased tables, and we're really appreciative of that. That's a guaranteed 10 people. So these are the groups that have done that: the Sisters of Presentation, the BVMs, the City of Dubuque, Crescent Community Center, the Community Foundation of Greater Dubuque, Dubuque Community Schools, First Baptist Church, John Deere Dubuque Works, Loras College, Multicultural Family Center, Sisters of St. Francis, St. John's Episcopal, St. Luke's United Methodist, the Telegraph Herald, University of Dubuque, the NAACP, and the Diamond Joe. All these folks have helped us to put this on. The school district has always been essential in helping us. The Community Foundation has always been an essential partner in what happens here every January, and we're so thankful. But even more important, how many folks, let me ask this, and then I'll let you go. For today, who's here for the first time? Thank you. Thank you for coming for the first time. Who's been here 5 years? Great. Who's been here more than 5 years? Fantastic. I know Anthony Allen here could give us a history of where this thing's been. And, he's like 25. I don't even know how he handles that. All right. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to the Q for opening this up. Alex Dixon for gracing us with this room. The film crew for the district. And thank you all for being here. We'll see you next year. God bless you.